Okay, Nick and Andy, it's time to talk about the biggest story in world football right now. Mo Salah, his contract saga. I was lucky enough to be one of the 4 journalists who actually spoke to him after Liverpool's 3-2 win at Southampton. He came over to us in the mix zone just to explain a little bit. Clearly wanted to get something off his chest. And one of the journalists to my right just asked, just chucked out there, what about your future, Mo? Any update on the contract? And then he went into this huge kind of spiel about how he hasn't been offered a contract yet at Liverpool. Obviously, it's expiring at the end of the season. He's disappointed that contract hasn't been offered. And Nick, there's just a lot going on about this. So to paint the picture, it's clear that Salah wants to stay at Liverpool. That's what I took away from this interaction. But obviously, they are quite far apart, both him and his agent and what they want, and Liverpool and what they're willing to spend on him. So I guess the main question is, what are your thoughts on this, and where do you see it heading? Because this is quite precarious now as we head towards January, when he can start talking to teams outside of England.
Yeah, I mean, something tells me if he was even a year and a half younger, this wouldn't be a problem, unless the number he's asking for is so ridiculous. And that's the thing with contract discussions. We don't normally have that info at the ready. We don't know. Perhaps he's being offered more money than anyone at Liverpool has ever made. We don't know that. What I can tell you is he's driving their team. He is the best player on their team, top to bottom, of any position. We usually kind of say that with scorers because, those numbers are there, but he is that. And it's an extremely interesting situation because 3 of their very best players, which we'll get to a little bit later, are going to be out of contract. So it's going to tell us something about Liverpool and about their direction and where they are post Jurgen Klopp. But right now, all the power's in his hands, and I just can't see any way that they can't walk away from this without having offered him more money than they've offered anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, this is the real power play from Salah, right? He's just scored 2 late goals to get him another win. The ratio is nearly 67% of Liverpool's goals this season he's either scored or assisted on, which is the biggest ratio of any player in the Premier League right now. Without him, they wouldn't be top of the league right now. He knows he is in a powerful position, but he did say probably I'm more out than in at the moment, and just kind of really left it hanging out there that, hey, this is on you guys to figure out, give me a good offer. And the clock's ticking, right? He's like, it's December, nearly December. Like we've got less than a month here until we can start talking to other teams, and any team in the world, and teams from Saudi Arabia will be lining up to give him huge, huge deals. So it does seem to me like a positive that he's kind of initiated this from Liverpool's perspective, that he actually wants to stay.
Yep.
But the fact that they aren't that close where there's even an offer on the table right now kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it? How do you see this playing out?
I don't think it says anything that there's no offer on the table now. I think this is a leverage thing. The club is in a situation with a new manager as well, early into that tenure, and figuring out not just what this season is going to look like, but how the club is going to move forward. And so, you could have signed him in the summer. Sure, could have been done, no problem. But I think leaving it until this point was probably the most logical outcome. I think probably in the next couple of weeks it gets done, because it's all about leverage. And now Mo has all of it. The fans are on his side. There is no fan of Liverpool, maybe I'm wrong, that is out there saying Mo Salah shouldn't be asking for more money, or Mo Salah should just accept whatever offer is given to him. The club, have handled this perfectly. So he has all of the power now in this situation. And I think, Joe, you nailed it there. The fact that he has made it very clear he wants to be at Liverpool, that was the only question to me. If he wants to be there, he will be there. The club will find a way to get it done. And I don't think this is about an extraordinary amount of money either. It might be another $1 million or $2 million on top of what the annual salary is going to be for him. But again, that's leverage. You squeeze every little bit out of a negotiation, a business deal that you can. And clearly his agent had been in his ear and said, all right, at some point you have to come out and say something. You're in a little bit of a quieter, quainter place. You don't have all of the Liverpool media around, and there's just a handful of people to talk to. Probably the perfect time to sprinkle in. And as you say, Joe, after a couple of late goals as well, it doesn't hurt. So I think this gets done. I understand why people are a little frustrated or confused by the way that it's played out. But I don't think, 2 or 3 months from down the road from now, that we're going to look back and even remember any of this.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, there's a lot of criticism of Salah out there as well as a lot of support, isn't there? Saying, why now? Liverpool are top of the league, 8 points clear. You've got Real Madrid and Man City coming up this week. But it's almost like the eyes of the world are going to be on Liverpool this week to see if they can come through those two big tests. And if we're also talking about Salah's future and how important he is, he's the kind of guy that thrives on these big moments and just keeps delivering and wants to underline, this is how good I am. Please give me what I deserve. And I think another kind of behind the scenes picture of this, while he was talking to us, Arne Slot was sat about 5 feet away in the team bus. His teammates were kind of lurking around and understood what was going on. Van Dijk appeared out of nowhere, just looking over his shoulder and kind of smirking because he's in a similar situation. So it's almost like everybody understands what has to happen. And now it's just about that final piece of the jigsaw, like Andy said, just kind of giving Liverpool's hierarchy a bit of a kick up the backside and saying, okay, I can really turn the heat up on you here with the fans. So can you please just give me an offer that I am going to accept and we can all move on very quickly. So I guess my main question to you, Nick, is after all of that, should he get what he wants? Should he stay? Or is this a situation where despite him being, having the body of a Greek god and just looking absolutely better than he has ever done at this stage, this early in the season in his career, which is remarkable to say, did they move him on? Because they're numbers guys, right? Liverpool have always kind of done this when it gets to this stage of the career for the aging players, if you will. But Salah seems to be the exception to the rule to me. He is a Ronaldo, Messi-esque figure where you can make that exception for him, and he's always going to be that X factor that delivers you the goals, that wins you trophies. So I say, I'm not in charge of Liverpool's funds, but just kind of give him as close as you can get to what he wants, and you will not regret it over the next 3 years. Because let's be honest, he really, touch wood, hasn't had any injury issues either. So he should be in pretty good shape for the next couple seasons.
Yeah, as long as we keep Sergio Ramos away from him, he should be fine.
Right.
Look, I'm a romantic. I want him to stay. I want any player of his caliber at a big club to stay. I want to associate them with a club. That's what I want to be. I want to look at a guy in baseball in the United States. We have this, the Hall of Fame where you wear the cap of the team and you choose which team you represented. Well, there isn't a choice here, and I don't want there to be a choice. Not that he'd go to a Premier League club, but look, the way that this works out, and I think we should all keep this in perspective. He could sign this deal, and if he falls off a cliff, he's going to leave. He's going to leave. He's going to go to MLS or Saudi or maybe even PSG, right? Just he'll take the money. Someone will be there to pay him, and that'll be his parachute. So while he's in his prime, take advantage of that and keep him. And of the 3 big names that we're talking about with him, he's number 1 for me. Each of them could say they're number 1 for a different reason, but he's number 1 for me because of what you want to say about yourself as Liverpool, the size of your club. These people don't leave. And what have we talked about on the show for maybe 4 years about Manchester United when they go into the transfer market? Oh, you've got to start to buy the sort of guy that people expect you to buy to show that your club is this size. All Liverpool has to do, there's no transfer fee here, is re-sign a player and tell the rest of the league, when you're one of the best in the world, we keep you here.
Yeah, it's so true, right, Andy? I mean, obviously Van Dijk and Alexander Arnold are the other 2 players Nick has mentioned in there and referencing. Their contract situation are slightly different, it seems. It seems like Van Dijk is probably a lot closer than the other 2 to re-signing, and kind of underlines is important, but also maybe the lack of a need for a centre-back at Real Madrid, Barcelona right now for the future. But then Alexander Arnold, it seems to me like he could be the one that actually says, you know what, Salah and Van Dijk, you guys, stay at Liverpool. I fancy something a bit different here. I've done everything I can with my hometown club. And he seems to me like the one who could be the odd man out, if you will. And that's the other interesting part to all of this, that if Liverpool gives Salah what he wants, then they also are negotiating with Van Dijk and Alexander Arnold. And I don't know if it's possible for them to keep anywhere near the wage structure that they have, which is tighter than a lot of the Premier League giants, and comply with financial fair play, all the rest of it. And we know that FSG, when you look at, the Red Sox and the other sports franchises they own, they have a model and they have a formula. And this might not fit into it, keeping Salah, but this is football. This is slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're only looking at this from Liverpool's perspective. Let's look at it from other clubs' perspectives as well, and which one of these players would be the most appealing. And aside from the name recognition and just the notoriety that a Salah brings, and Van Dijk as well, Alexander Arnold being the age that he is, 25 years old, just potentially entering the prime of his career, and you get him into a situation where you have a plan in place for him, you have a system, you have all of those things where you can maximize him. I could see another club, whether it's a Madrid, whether it's a Bayern, whether it's a Barcelona-esque club, saying, that's something that we rate right there. And so really making a push for Alexander Arnold in a way that everybody would want Salah, everybody would want Van Dijk, but I don't think that they would push all in for a player at 32, 33, the way that Salah and Van Dijk are, when you have Alexander Arnold, obviously very different player, but massive potential to bring into the team. So I'll give a prediction here. Salah stays, Van Dijk stays. I think Alexander Arnold goes eventually. Probably not until the summer. He goes out a champion, though, at Liverpool. Is there a better way to do it?
Not bad. Not bad. I'm going to go with your same prediction, Andy. I think you're right on that. Nick, what are you saying, mate?
I would normally lean the same way, but there's part of me that says he stays because another statement that Liverpool can make by saying, this is the guy we grew. This is the guy and we keep him. So I actually think there's probably, there's just as much pressure. Van Dijk's probably third, but Van Dijk's probably the easiest to get done because you go to him and you say, hey, we got Konate. He's going to bail you out athletically for a while. You just got to kind of hang out there and be a leader. But I'd say I feel like two and a half players are going to stay. And we will see. We will see.
Maybe one of them won't quite get the deal they want, the length of it, and they just have to, deal with the fact that they're going to be at Liverpool under Arne Slot and they're doing extremely well and going to be challenging for trophies. And that's, that's something to balance up as well. Money is great. A length of contract is great, but these players are competitors. And if they're going to stay at Liverpool and win trophies for the next few years, I think that's kind of very, very important to all three of these players, but especially Salah. So I think this was a monumental week for him to get this news out there. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on Salah's contract talks, what Liverpool do next, how do they handle this. There's a lot going on with this situation, but the long story short is that Mo Salah is not happy that he hasn't got a contract offer on the table from Liverpool. Let's see how Liverpool respond.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.